shot! Dishes off to Jones, kicks it out to Aaron Martin, 4 seconds. Oh my goodness! He makes the three!
Are you kidding me, Aaron Martin?
Well, hello and welcome to Wildcat Week. I'm Roger Alcock. Well, we're going to start things off today on the show talking a new sport. Spring is around the corner and baseball season is underway. The Wildcats started off their year 4-0 undefeated so far. So here to talk to me is the new head coach of the baseball squad, Rich Benjamin, and senior infielder and pitcher, Craig Nesselhuff. And guys, it doesn't really feel like baseball outside. So you traveled to Arkansas, Coach, to get the season underway, but you've been going at it all year, really, haven't you? You do stuff in the fall and the wintertime. It's a year-round thing anymore, isn't it?
It really is. If you're going to be committed to a process that maximizes who you are as an individual and as a program, it becomes year-round. And so the first week that we were together, we're casting vision and values and getting to know each other a little bit. We got into the weight room 4 times that week. And then week 2, it was bats and balls plus weight room, and it's really been that way ever since. I don't think we've taken a week off. I think we've taken 2 or 3 days off that were scheduled, where you kind of just go off the temperature of the team. But outside of that, we've been in there every day.
Now, Craig, all these other kinds of things you do, it had to be fun to finally, just get out there and actually play baseball against another team.
It was wonderful. You get really sick and tired of sitting in the field house. You do the same things over and over again. So yeah, it was definitely nice to get outside and actually play somebody other than ourselves.
Coach, we were talking a little bit before the show. In those first 4 games, you go down to Arkansas. You hit the cover off the ball. Really, I think we talked about Craig had 4 home runs and 1 doubleheader.
Sure.
But it's kind of a point of emphasis you have in terms of your approach to hitting. You want your guys to elevate the baseball and make big things happen at the plate.
Sure. We feel like if you elevate the baseball, the studies show that you just do more damage, and we're up there to do damage. And baseball's hard, so you're not going to do it every game. You're not going to do it every day. But that's your objective, is to find a pitch you can drive and be on time and drive that ball into the gap. So the studies show those things. It keeps you out of the double play, which is really valuable as well. And I think as a player, it's more enjoyable to go to practice every day with the objective and go to the weight room every day with the objective that I'm trying to do more damage. When you get into a postseason game, your entire team may only see 3 to 5 quality pitches to drive. And if you're swinging just to put that pitch in play, then you may roll over it to the 6 hole or hit it to the second baseman, shortstop. But if your entire team has strong intent and you're trying to do damage, when you get those 4 or 5 pitches, you have a better chance to hit a double in the gap or hit a ball out of the yard. And I think you see that a lot at the professional level. If you watch like the Cubs play in the postseason or some team like the Cardinals, a lot of damage that's done is extra base hit damage on just a handful of pitching mistakes. But those guys are swinging to do damage the whole time, and we want to do the same thing.
Craig, as a player, as a guy who likes to hit the ball, that's got to be a fun approach to the game, or it's got to be a liberating approach to have a coach that says, I want you being aggressive and attacking the baseball.
It's very fun. Home runs were not something that's been a part of our program for the last 8-9 years. So to come in here and actually hit the ball with some purpose and hit it over the fence is a very exciting opportunity for us.
That's one part of the game, but I know you want a complete team.
Sure.
You got to play defense, and you got to get solid pitching. I know it's very early, but do you have a sense yet of where your team is at in terms of being a good defensive team and a team that can get some good innings out of your pitchers?
Sure. Yeah, I think defensively we're relatively close to the ideal at a lot of positions. We lost Nick Yoder early, who was our projected starting shortstop. We think we'll get him back at some point this weekend or the following week. Logan Tomlinson has filled in selflessly into that role and actually played pretty well this past weekend. He's very athletic. If we had to ride him long term for some reason, he's a guy that's going to get better every week. But at the other position, I feel like we're really close to the ideal. In the outfield, there are good routes. The rest of the infielders are experienced, and we were strong behind the plate. On the mound, the guys that are getting innings, they're effective. They're They're winning 2 of 3 pitches. They're attacking the zone. But they have to continue to do that because that's an area where we lack a lot of depth. Typically, you want 12 to 15 pitchers that are healthy and highly effective going into a 55-game regular season. And I think we've been down to as low as 7 during that time. And so the way to overcome that lack of depth is for the guys that you do have to really take the initiative, to really attack the zone, win the freebie war, avoid walks, avoid deep counts, to keep their pitch counts down, to go a little deeper into ball games. And they did a pretty good job of that the first weekend out.
All right. Well, one weekend down, but there's more to come. The next game for the baseball team will be down in Westfield, Indiana, as the Wildcats play a doubleheader against Ohio Christian University, the Trailblazers. That's coming up this weekend, February the 20th. Game time, first pitch is at 1 p.m. Well, guys, best of luck this season, and thanks for coming in and talking some baseball on Wildcat Week. I'm sure we'll see more of you as the season progresses.
Thank you for having us.
All right. Well, when we come back, we'll sit down with the women's basketball head coach, Steve Brooks, along with senior Jessica Brown, to talk about their wins against Grace and Mount Vernon Nazarene. So stick around. We'll be right back. Well, welcome back to Wildcat Week. The women's basketball team hosted the Lancers of Grace College on Saturday, February the 13th, home in Lucky Arena, while the Wildcats opened up the game with an 8-2 run as IW never trailed in the opening half. Now the lead reached a high of 11 points in the opening half when a three-pointer by senior Jessica Brown early in the second quarter put the Lady Wildcats up 19-8. Grace closed out the second quarter on an 8-1 spurt to cut the deficit 28-25 as the teams went into the halftime. Now the Lancers started the third quarter strong and actually took the lead 31-30. It was their first lead of the game. The third quarter was back and forth, witnessed 4 ties and 10 lead changes. Now senior Erica Isham had a bucket with less than 6 minutes to go in the half, and in the fourth quarter, the Wildcats took a 48-47 lead. It was the 12th and the final lead change of the game, as the Wildcats led by as many as 6 points in the final 2 minutes before a late Grace run cut the deficit to 60-59 with 15 seconds on the clock. The Lady Wildcats then came away with the victory by a final score of 64-59 in a tight one. Senior Tori Kraft led the team with a career and game high of 17 points. She was 7 of 9 from the floor. Senior Michelle King grabbed a career best and game high 10 rebounds. Well, I'm joined now by the women's head coach, Steve Brooks, along with senior Jessica Brown. And Coach, we'll talk a little bit about Grace. You told us and you warned us they're a very physical team. They're an athletic team. In fact, they gave you guys a run. They gave Marion their only loss of the conference season last night. So
yeah,
we're glad it was against Marion and not the Wildcats.
Right, yes. They are a team that was very, very athletic, very, they had nothing, I'm sure last night it played into it. Nothing to lose, everything to gain. And they gave us everything and more that we wanted, and we had chances in that game, just like we had chances last night to separate ourselves from them, and we just didn't get the job done, and it seems to be the way things are going right now.
Jess, that was senior day. Obviously it was the final home game, but when it's senior day on a Saturday, and one of your senior teammates, Tori Kraft, you guys see her all the time, and we've seen flashes, but she had a huge game. It was a great day for her to have probably the biggest game of her career.
Yeah, she had a great game, and we were really proud of her. We needed her to step up, and she did, and she did a great job, and we're proud.
Coach, Tori, I don't know if she's the best three-point shooter on the team, but you have a lot of confidence that when she goes in, she can score the basketball.
Tori's a really good offensive player. She's very smart. She can pass. She can shoot it. She can shoot it well from the three. She has the ability to put the ball on the floor and finish at the rim in traffic. Very, very skilled that way. She has been that kid that we're hopeful when we bring her off the bench elevates the play of our team and gives us an automatic lift offensively. And that's happened in more than just the Grace game. But that's a role that we would really like for her to play.
We're going to move now on to that Mount Vernon Nazarene game, and there we saw Chelsea winner with the 3 early. You guys had a pretty good inside-out game going. Erica Isham there. You had a little bit of a run on Mount Vernon Nazarene early, and to their credit, they were able to kind of weather the storm and got back into the ball game.
Yeah, they are another team that, you know, again, nothing to lose, everything to gain. And, you know, we did not, you know, it's that kind of thing right there where we give up an offensive rebound and then we put her on the free throw line. We just didn't finish plays at the right time. We didn't get the stops we needed to get defensively, and it made the game a lot more difficult. There's a great pass from Tori into Michelle. You know, and then they drive it in there and throw that up and it goes in.
And they did hurt you off the dribble quite a bit last night.
Yeah, they did.
Which is kind of unusual. We don't see teams do that to you historically or traditionally, but
yeah, right there.
And a lot of times it wasn't pretty easy, or
right.
with Lombardi there with the shot. And Jessica, they're not the most, I would say, athletic team, but
I think
they had it going last night.
I think they're a little more athletic than we even thought and give them credit. We, you know, but, you know, they did some really good things, hit some shots that they needed to hit, which seems, again, to be sort of what's happened to us. I mean, I've watched all their games and, you know, they don't make those same shots, those same moves. You know, just like there, she made a good read. You know, when they played Marianne, that was a turnover. She tried to force a pass, but you know, there we just, I have to ask Jess about that. I don't know what happened there.
What happened, Jess?
I got faked out.
You know, and shots like that from Beidelman, I mean.
Well, if we could play that back, which and we count the steps, you know, maybe there should have been a whistle, you know, or a foul. I don't know, but you know, like right there. Okay, how many steps is that? I mean, I understand she's good, but there's probably 4 steps there, and the rule only allows you 2.5.
Well, that was a big shot right there because it ties the game up at 63. You guys were tied at the half. You tied up at the end of regulation. Kelsey got a decent look at that one, just couldn't get the drop, and so now you're going to overtime.
Yeah. Carly got us started right.
And I think that was the key in the overtime. You guys got out to a lead, and they had to chase you.
Right. Right. Our kids have done a really good job of persevering, and that's something that, you know, we can take and hopefully continue to try to build on. It just, you know, here's something that we were trying to get, because she does that.
Yeah. And when I saw that live, I thought, yeah, I think the offensive player initiated contact, actually pushed off a little bit. I thought Erica did a good job selling the call too.
Right. We got lucky there. They had 3 attempts.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't have mattered anyway because the game was already decided. But it was an interesting game for us. You know, we talked about we were disappointed in our defense, and it's something that, you know, hopefully we can regain more of a defensive mindset as we head into the final game and into conference tournament.
Well, as a player, you've got one more game to perfect that defensive mindset before you go into postseason. But St. Francis at home, they're always tough at home. They're an athletic team. It would be great to go in that game and maybe put together the best defensive performance of the year, set yourself up for the postseason.
Yeah, we got to be ready to go up there. It's their senior day, and they're going to be ready. So we got to hit them with the first punch. But yeah, it starts today in practice, being that to get that mindset. So,
Coach, kind of as we wrap things up here, I know it's always one game at a time, and you have St. Francis next, but you've won, I think, 5 in a row now. But going into the postseason, if you want to make a run at a postseason championship, definitely room to to elevate your game and to make a run at it? You're probably going to have to do that.
Oh, there's no doubt. We're going to have to shore some things up. We've got to tighten our defense up. We've got to get back to being that team that doesn't give up easy baskets or second shots. And when I say easy baskets, I'm talking about straight line drives. I'm talking about wide open threes where we just let them stand and shoot it, make it like a game of horse. That, you know, you and I could go out there and play in that game. But you know, that's something that we've got to get a little different mindset, and then just be able to compete for the full 40 minutes and not have these mental breakdowns that we've had.
All right. Well, Jess, Coach, thanks for coming on and joining us this week. And we'll look forward to talking about, hopefully, a victory at St. Francis, and then talk about the postseason tournament run, okay?
Thank you.
All right. Well, as we said, the next game for the 15th ranked Lady Wildcats is Saturday as they travel to Fort Wayne to take on the Cougars of St. Francis in the final regular season contest. Well, when we come back, assistant coach of the Wildcats on the guys' side, Jeff Clark, and senior Johnny Marlin will stop by and talk about some exciting games against Grace and Mount Vernon Nazarene. Both games going down to the wire. So we'll be right back. Well, welcome back to Wildcat Week. The men's basketball team, they traveled up to Winona Lake to take on the Grace College Lancers in a very big Crossroads League matchup. Well, this game started out with Grace leading the entire first half. They led by as many as 10 points in the first half. Lancers had a 48-38 lead at halftime. Well, junior Bob Peters scored with less than 17 minutes left in the second half to give the Wildcats it was their first lead of the ball game. That was made it a 49-48 game. Well, then from 18 minutes on the clock all the way to the 7 minutes remaining in the game, the score remained within 4 points until the Lancers, they nailed a three-pointer, and then Grace led by as many 6 points with just 5 minutes remaining. Junior Lane here then sank a pair of free throws with 26 seconds left to give the Wildcats an 89-88 advantage. With the shot clock off, Grace attempted to take the lead on kind of a wild sequence of plays here. They missed a couple shots in a row. The third shot was blocked, and there you see, though, what the Lancers thought might be the game winner, but they left a little too much time on the clock as Johnny Marlin takes the inbound pass, dribbles the length of the floor, lays it up and in. The Wildcats take the lead, and they hold on for the victory. There you see the final score, 91-90, as the Wildcats steal one from the Lancers up in Winona Lake. And leading the way for the Wildcats, though, Lane Mahurin, just a dominant run he's on right now. 29 points on that game. He scored 18 or more points in at least 8 straight games. Bob Peters was right behind Lane with 22 points as well. Now joining me is associate head coach of the Wildcats, Jeff Clark, and Johnny Marlin. We're going to talk about Grace for a little bit and then move on to Mount Vernon Nazarene. But Coach, Grace was really playing for their postseason lives in many respects. They've been hovering in that top 20, but I think a lot of people felt if they wanted to make a trip to Branson, either they're going to have to win the Crossroads League postseason tournament or maybe make a huge run in there and beat the Wildcats. So they really put it all on the line that game.
Yeah, they came out with a lot of energy. They were ranked 25th, as you said, going into the game, but a win against a top 5 team would have been a signature win. So I think they felt coming into the game if they won, they would have locked up a berth in Branson.
Now, Johnny, I wanted to ask you, we talked a little bit just before we went on the air. Last night, Duke, North Carolina doesn't call a timeout. And on talk shows this morning, Roy Williams doesn't know what he's doing. You guys, I think, Coach, we talked about, you've gone with the approach that you're not going to call a time, you're going to get it inbounds. You guys practice end-of-game scenarios, don't you? And you really knew what you're going to, at least what you were looking for, I would assume.
Yeah, I think it kind of depends on the situation. Time and score, who's hot in that game. And I think once the ball was inbounded, coaches saw that there was somewhat of an edge of us going down the court and just let it play it out. Fortunately, we got the win.
Now, when you got the ball in that situation, you see a little bit of a seam there. Are you thinking drive, either I'm going all the way to the basket, if the defense collapses, then I'm going to kick it to somebody, or kind of what's the thought process, or how do you set that play up?
If you look back at our halves and end of game type stuff, I've settled for a lot of jumpers. And so Coach C's been in my ear about, just going downhill. And if the play's there, I'll make the pass. If not, then I'll lay it up and score, I guess.
All right. Well, it worked out for the Wildcats, and we're really happy. And we're happy that you guys were able to translate that. Another game on the road at Mount Vernon Nazarene. Again, I think a situation where Mount Vernon Nazarene has struggled this year, but at home they're tough. And this would have been a signature win for you guys. And Johnny hit the jumper there, but I wanted to ask you guys really, though, quick about the streak that Lane Mahiran has been on. It's as good of a streak as I can remember maybe any player having here in a long, long time.
Yeah, Lane's been ultra aggressive, but what's been neat to see for the program, he's been growing in all areas of his life, spiritually, in relationships, on the court, obviously, academically. He's just caught fire, and all that growth in his personal life has really translated to the floor.
Well, you can see that early on here in the first half. You guys took a nice lead early, but then Mount Vernon Nazarene kind of started chipping their way back at you. And in fact, by the half, you go into the locker room tied up at 43 apiece. So a quick start, but they came back at you.
Yeah, I'd be curious for Johnny to speak on this. We're seeing teams really playing with a different sense of urgency against us, and every game we go into, we know we're going to get teams' best shots, because if they beat us, that's a signature win.
Yeah, I agree, especially with where Mount Vernon was in the rankings. This was a must-win for them on their home court in order just to make the conference tournament. So I think there was definitely like a difference in how they played us this time as opposed to the first time that we played them.
Well, that last offensive possession, that was kind of signature Lane Mahiran, though, of late. Getting a rebound, making a great post move, and a difficult shot off the glass. But it's not a fluke anymore. I mean, we've just seen it time and time again.
Yeah, and it's a credit to our whole team, because we have other guys who are capable. Johnny has proven he can score 30, 35 in a game, but Lane's had the hot hand, and Johnny and Bob and others continue to feed Lane the ball in the spots he's comfortable in, just because he does have that hot hand.
Josh Maywar there had the jumper. Big game for Josh, though, rebounding the basketball. He's been a little more aggressive, I think, the last month or so in terms of going after rebounds. He pulled down 11 that game. He's an animal inside.
He really is, man. He's fun to play with. He plays with just a lot of passion, and Josh is a big guy.
Yeah, he is.
He's tough to stop, when that motor's high, and fortunately he's been crashing the glass pretty hard for us.
As we see now, it's going down the stretch. That was a huge shot for the Cougars. It ties it up at 83. A little bit different scenarios against Grace. You were down one. Here you're tied, so you're going to get a shot to win or go into overtime. And you talked about the jumper. That time you settled for the jumper, John.
Yeah, Roberts is a pretty long defender, and Jordy Moss was down there, so I figured my chances weren't too good going up against 6'9" and 6'6" or whatever he is.
I had to ask you, though, what did you think? Because they got a shot off at the end, and I think it hit the rim, didn't it? Yeah.
From our vantage point, it looked good the whole way. We weren't celebrating for Johnny's shot until we saw that bounce off the rim.
Well, guys, it sets up a huge matchup this Saturday. I know you've tried to avoid talking about it, but Saturday, St. Francis comes to town. It's a game that if you win the game, you have at least a share of the conference championship. And that's what you play for, is to win championships, and it should be a great contest.
Yeah, we were just talking. We're not sure we've ever had this big of a game in Lucky Arena. We've won eight championships, but never on the final game have we played the team that is sharing the lead or ahead of us right now. So it's a huge game for us.
Johnny, they got you guys up in Fort Wayne. We know they're a very good team, well coached, a lot of talent, but it's great. I think you got to be glad that if this is the scenario, it's at home.
Definitely. Yeah, I like to think back, I never dreamed about, playing in a game that didn't matter. You know, it was always the big games.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited for it. This is stuff where you're in your backyard playing for, like a title, and this is what it is.
All right, well, it should be a great one. We'll be excited to be there for it. As we mentioned, that last matchup for the 4th-ranked Wildcats It's the big game for the Crossroads League regular season tournament or regular season championship. Top 5 matchup, the 3rd-ranked Cougars of St. Francis, the number 4-ranked Wildcats. Saturday, February the 20th. Tip-off is 3 p.m., but we will definitely encourage you, if you're going to that game, you better get there early if you want to get a seat. That's all we have for you this week. If you have any comments or suggestions about our show, we'd like to hear from you. You can visit our website, wiwtv.com. There you can see past episodes and connect with us online. Once again, that's wiwutv.com. Well, we look forward to being back with you next week. So for all of us here, thanks for watching Wildcat Week.